Hey everyone, we're going to get started with the lesson in just about 15 minutes. Just wanted to say hi to everyone who's here early. Let's see. Oh, my mod, Arlie. Hey, welcome, Arlie. And I got a bunch of members here. Hold on, I have to scroll on my computer real quick. We got Small, our first member today, as well as Cheryl, welcome. Grant James. Let's see, Joe Turner. And let's see who else. Yep, that's our members for so far. Welcome everyone. Our lesson today is going to be an advanced level class, so this should be fun. I do a lot of intermediate and advanced classes. In fact, if you look at my list of classes that I've done, the topics, the majority, most of them are actually intermediate level and above. Although early on when I started about 2 years ago, it's funny to say that, almost 2 years ago when I started my live streams weekly, they were mostly beginner topics, but after we finished those, most of the classes have been, I'd say, intermediate and advanced. And some of our advanced classes have been very advanced and other ones on the lower level of advanced. This topic we're going to be doing today, I would say, if it were only this one topic that I was doing about taga, which is the one that's in the title of the video. If it were only that one topic, I would say this is a low advanced topic. However, we're actually going to be doing kind of 3 topics today, 2 main ones, 2 topics that are taga. So I would say this is a full advanced lesson if you're curious what level this is going to be for. So if you want to follow along with the entire lesson today, make sure you know all of these first. I've had lessons on all of these before. There's like nothing I don't have a lesson on now. At least if it's like a major grammar point, I have a lesson about it already. Make sure you already know these topics before today's lesson, or you're going to be lost, because especially if I could pick one of these to know, it would be this one. This is the one you really want to know. That'll give you a hint as to the lesson that we're going to be doing today. Maybe I just spoiled the whole lesson. Maybe you don't even need the lesson anymore now that I've told you that. No, we're actually going to be doing 2 different topics. One of them is actually going to be similar to this one. And the other one is going to be similar to... I guess I could say that the other one that we're going to be doing today, the past tense taga, is kind of more similar to... like after doing something, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Anyway, this is the one I think you want to really be really have down before starting the lesson today. And then, of course, these so that you can compare. Otherwise, if you don't already know these, you might be wondering, what's the difference between this form and this form? Well, if you knew this form, you wouldn't ask that question. So we'll talk about these, though, when we get to there. Other than that, I'm just watching new people come in. See if I missed anyone. 후원해달라면 아니요. I said I was dedicating the stream in the chat. I said I was dedicating today's stream to Grant James today. That's because I know Grant is an advanced Korean speaker, so he's going to appreciate the advanced classes. And I know most of my subscribers are going to be beginner, though that's not specific to Korean. Every language, most people learning it are going to be beginner, and there will be like a really big bell curve, you know, how many people are, what level people are learning at. It's all going to be toward beginner. And as you go higher level, there will be fewer and fewer people. That's just normally how things are with, I'd say, any skill, not just Korean and not just any language. So yeah, welcome to everyone who's coming in. We'll get started in 10 minutes. Before we start, a few quick announcements. If you are a Patreon member, please make sure to pick up your free, well, you're paying for it, so it's free, but make sure to get your outline for the stream, as this will be available right after the stream finishes, as well as our worksheet. There is a worksheet available for every live stream for the past year and a half or so. So you can get those. There's actually the worksheet for today's class already up there on Patreon. So you can get there, get the worksheet and practice it right now if you'd like. Other announcements. Let me pin that here. Hold on. I'll do the hor. I think the hor is pretty good. Let's do this one. I have some new merchandise. Actually, one of them my wife designed. That's the one that I'm going to pin here. And it's just another way to support me. If you're interested in supporting me, but you don't want to just throw money at me, you think like, oh, you know, I'll buy something from you, but I don't want to just give you money. Well, then you can buy merchandise if you'd like. A small portion goes to me. And it's also just kind of fun. So I've said this before, I'll say it again. If I meet you in Korea, if I ever see someone in Korea wearing my merchandise, I'm going to run up to you and ask to take a picture with you. So when can I get to Korea, though? That's the question. I'll get there again this year. I'm sure I'm going to get there this year at least once. Preferably, I'm going to try to go to Korea twice this year as soon as possible. I actually get my second shot tomorrow. So I'll be good to go after a couple more weeks. Okay, other announcements are, if you don't already know, we do have a free Discord channel. And the Discord channel, I think I tried to post the link in chat, is completely free. It's active, very active actually now. And you can practice Korean with other learners there. You can just chit chat with other people, share GIFs and anime videos, or I guess it would be K-pop videos, but whatever, people share whatever they want. And there's a separate channel for that sort of off-topic stuff. And there's a whole channel for Korean questions. There is a voice chat for just speaking in Korean if you'd like, as well as lots of other channels you can do various things with. Korean learners from all levels are in there, including myself and other people who are advanced, and some people who can teach you stuff there. So if you have questions, it's a great place to go and just hang out to kind of keep your motivation up for learning Korean. Other announcements are, I offer one-to-one consulting, I guess we could call it that. If you're interested in that, make sure to join our Patreon. Sorry, not Patreon. You don't have to join Patreon to ask about that. Join our Discord and ask about tutoring. And I can give you information about what I do for the one-to-one counseling if you're interested in that. And finally, one more thing. If you are a member of this channel, of which I think 83 of you are members, then you get access to watch these abridged versions, these live streams, abridged, cut down to like 10 minutes or so. You get to watch them tonight. Everyone else will get to see them Wednesday or Thursday later in the week, but you get to watch them tonight because you are a wonderful member and you help support this channel. And another announcement is next Sunday, there will be no live stream. Again, no live stream next Sunday, but there is today. There was the last 2 Sundays, but Sunday, this next coming Sunday, will be 1 week off. And then we'll start again the next week with 3 more. We'll also get 3 more weeks of new topics. So, that's also what I wanted to say. Oh, hey, Grant. Awesome. Thanks, Grant. I'm going to do a dab for Grant in just a second. Let me just finish this announcement. If you want to make a request, please make a request tonight on Discord. Go to Discord, join the members chat. Make sure you're a member, and give me a request for a new topic. Give me a specific topic, a thing you'd specifically like to learn about that I haven't already done, and I can add it to the vote for that's coming out tomorrow. So actually, sorry, not tomorrow. It'll be next Monday for the next live stream. So you can get your requests in and we can vote on them, and then you might see your request in a future live stream like today. Today's topic was also requested by a member, as well as last week's topic was requested by a member. Okay. Grandje, 빌리셈, 보라해. 보라해. And then you send me a purple heart. Thank you. Thank you, James. Yay. Oh, 안녕하세요. I'm sorry. I was reading the other comments around that. James. Like thinking how far I should keep going. Okay, there we go. James. There you go. James. It's really, really tense sound there. Thank you. Thank you, James. And yes, for everyone else who's coming in, if you're new, we always start the live stream a few minutes early just to give announcements, but we are done with announcements now. So let's turn our attention toward the prerequisites again. These are what you want to know before today's class. As I said, today is going to be an advanced level class. So you want to make sure you know all this stuff. Yes, very wonderful. Pura, hey, purple love. Is that the Prince song? And make sure you know all of these topics before doing the live stream for today. Otherwise, you're going to not. Let's read the chat for a second. Otherwise, you might not be able to follow along very well. Let's see. Lao says, would a lesson on intonation be fine to suggest? Actually, no, because intonation isn't a general. There is no intonation, correct intonation in Korean. There isn't. There are intonation for specific grammar forms. That is like you have to use this intonation with this grammar form. And that is something you learn when you learn the grammar form. For example, you might learn the word 누구 can mean who, but it can also mean someone. You might learn the word 어디 means where, but it can also mean somewhere. And whether it means one or the other has to do with intonation. And you can talk about that. But that sort of topic would be taught within that grammar topic. So if I did a live stream about that topic, I would already teach that along with it because it's important to know. But there isn't a separate intonation live stream I could do unless it were just tips for intonation, in which case I've actually already talked about those when I did the lesson 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, about tips for how to study Korean. I also took a section of there where I talked about intonation, how to get better at intonation. But everyone's intonation, every person you meet has their own intonation. Every Korean speaker will use their own intonation. I use my own intonation when I speak Korean. Is mine correct? Sure. Is mine like a Korean guy? No, I purposely talk a little bit differently than that because I don't feel that matches my personality very well. So I have a little different intonation when I speak Korean, but it sounds fine. If you meet a girl, it's going to sound different. If you meet a girl from Seoul versus a girl from Busan, a girl from the east or west part of Korea, or a girl who's been living in the US for a while, or a girl who's living in a different state, you're going to meet you're going to come across lots of different types of intonation, and none of them are the correct intonation. You could say, let's just learn intonation from people who are living in Seoul, right? That's standard Korean. Within standard Korean, there is no official correct intonation. Everyone you meet in Seoul has a different intonation of their own. So intonation isn't something that, it's not like, well, you have to do this after this word. It's not that. It's not quite that simple. There are grammar forms, as I said, some will have, you have to use an upward intonation for this form to give it this meaning. But beyond that, intonation is up to you. Intonation is how you want to sound. So other than just giving you tips, there isn't a guide to intonation that I can give you because it's not going to apply to every situation, and there is no right and wrong for a lot of it. BTS related. Okay. Well, I get that it's, purple and heart. So I get what it is, but I didn't know it was a thing. I thought Grant just made it up himself. Surprise face emoji. I don't know how you want me to read your name. Thank you for the donation. I'll do the exact same thing then. I'll only put Grant. He gets 10 here. Thank you. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Let's see who else came in here. Anselmnida, welcome. 안녕하세요. Although I've never been taught intonation in my classes, I feel like I'm still not doing it properly. Yeah, I would say check out my tips video instead for tips for learning Korean. I talk about intonation. Spoiler alert, to get better intonation. Oh no, I think the board broke. To get better intonation, you want to do, if you're not living in Korea, if you can't do conversations with native Koreans, the next best way would be to watch someone, a specific person, pick one person and imitate how they speak. It's called shadowing. And that's good for if you don't have a chance to just speak Korean all day. So if you live in Korea, you don't need to do this because you can simply talk in Korean a lot and mimic what other people are saying. Oh, now I thought the board was broken again. It started flashing again. Thank you for the $1.99 additional donation. A person whose name I cannot read, but I'll just say surprised emoji face. Who are you? Surprised emoji face, but thank you. Okay. I guess let's get started with our lesson then. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing the surprised emoji face. Okay. So, prerequisites, make sure you know those. Wow, my board is getting maybe I should just buy a new board. This board is like really flimsy. Look at this. Look at this. This is not good. I've been using the same board for like a year and a half now. Okay, so again, this is an advanced topic we're going to be doing today. We're actually going to be covering two distinct forms today that are related but different. The first form we're going to be learning, you take an action verb stem and you conjugate it as if you're going to be conjugating the 요 form. So that'll be attaching a or o, or sometimes hada will become he. You know, every verb will have its own different rule for how you conjugate it. So you conjugate it like normal, and then you attach to that taga. So this is conjugated as is. The end. This will never be a past tense conjugation. If you take hada, it will always become hedaga. If you take kada, to go, it'll always become kadaga. Nothing else. You're not going to ever have hesodaga or kasodaga or anything like that. No future tense, no past tense. Once you've gotten this, you are done conjugating the form. Congratulations. Another donation by I stole my parents' credit card for you. I really hope you're joking. That's not cool. But, I mean, thank you for your donation, but I really hope your parents are cool with it. I would be upset if I saw a bunch of $1, $2, $3 charges on my credit card. Thank you. Thank you, surprised emoji face. Okay. Oh, welcome, Pora. Hey, welcome, Pora. And Rebecca. I see a couple other members came in. Okay, so if you see this conjugated a different way, it's not this form. I'll just say that. If you see any other conjugations of this, it is not this form. This will only be conjugated as is. All right. Since this is our last live class about the taga form, it's kind of sad. Since this is the last taga class we're going to have, I should let you know there are actually, let's kind of summarize everything that we've learned so far. There are actually 5 different forms of taga. 5. I'm not joking. I didn't even realize there were 5 before I started preparing for today's lesson. I was thinking like there are 3, but then I started preparing the lesson. I realized, no, there are 5 different taga forms. First of all, there's this one, which we're going to be learning today. There is also the regular taga form, which is used when you have 2 actions and the second action interrupts the first action. So this is the one that you would say doing something while doing something. Like while I was on my way to school, I picked up a wallet. Something like that. While. Then there was the form we did last week. Taga는 or tagan. This one is used simply to show that something, usually negative, some sort of thing bad might occur. if you continue to do something. Now, it actually doesn't always have to be negative, but it usually is. It always sounds like a warning, though. It always has that sort of warning tone, like if you don't be careful, be careful, or this sort of thing if you keep doing something. You should sing a BTS song. I'm not going to sing. I don't sing. Copyright is an issue. Thank you for the donation. Surprise face emoji. I can't sing a song though due to copyright, and I don't actually know any of their songs by heart, so that would be very difficult. If I tried to sing a BTS song by heart, it would be terrible because I don't know the song to sing, so I'd have to make something up. Yeah, I really hope you're joking that you didn't take the credit card. That would be very bad. Okay, so there's this one. There's another form which we're going to be learning. We haven't learned it yet, but that'll also be ending with taga, but it uses past tense conjugation. That's these two right here. So you should recognize this one already. You use a past tense verb stem and then conjugate it and attach that to taga. So if you had hada, that would become 했다가. Like I said, if it has any other form, it's not this form. This is a different form. This is a completely different form. We'll learn about that today. And the final form of taga is 에다가. 에다가. Oops, did I say dada? 에다다. 에다가 is also related to these forms. If we want to get really technical, and I like getting technical, all of these forms work in a similar way. They all convey a similar purpose. This form, though, is a little different. This form instead, oops, I just got black marker all over my hand. This form, does anyone know what this form does? Actually, I want to check that. Who in the chat knows what 에다가 does? Because this is another taga form. Let's see if anyone in chat knows this form. He can't sing, he's teaching. Yeah, I can't sing, I'm teaching. Evolving brain. Oh, hey, evolving brain. Thank you. Let's see what you wrote. 2, 3. Please put English meanings next to each of these 5. Okay, I can do that really quick. Taga, you could think of this one as while. Taga는 is like a warning, like cautioning someone, just be careful, be careful or else, this sort of thing. This taga we haven't learned yet, so I'm not going to say that, but we'll do that in this lesson. This one we haven't learned yet either. This one is what I'm asking you to guess. Yeah, this one we'll do later. I want to see if anyone can guess it, or if you already know what it is. Marking where you are making the action. Yes, it marks the place something is put. Okay, where making the action is where you're making the action, kind of like a location. In addition, okay, good. There are a few people who know what this is. Okay, this form 에다가 actually is a repetitive form that serves no necessary purpose. I know Korean teachers might get upset at hearing that. This is useless. I'm going to say that. This is kind of useless. It's actually used all the time. I don't mean that it's not used useless. I mean that it can be replaced by just 에. In most of the situations. What it does actually is it only serves to emphasize the location or place that something is happening. And the way it translates to is and or on top of. So you might tell someone like, hey, could you might say, hey, like, where should I sign my name? And you would normally say, 여기에 쓰세요. 여기 쓰세요. Write it here. 여기 써주세요. Please write it here. But you want to say here, like write it right here. 여기다가 써주세요. 적어주세요. 여기다가 적어주세요. 여기다 적으세요. Write it here. It just serves to emphasize where the location of something is happening, where something's going to, like that. Not a location, not where you're driving to right now, but where some action is going to, where some action is happening at. And by that, it just emphasizes. So you can translate it as and or on top of. So like write it onto here, that sort of meaning. Not just right here, but like write it onto here. This is a very small difference in translation. It's more of a feeling. It just emphasizes that location. So this taga in this form edaga only serves as an emphatic particle. You don't actually need to say it unless you're going to be using, there are some forms where you need to say it to clarify you're saying, you're emphasizing it. But when you're just using it with a, it's actually an optional. And maybe you didn't know this, but the particle a itself already can be used in the same meaning to say and or on top of, to add something in addition to something. You can say, what would that be? 땅콩 버터의 잼. 땅콩 버터의 잼. Peanut butter and jam. Peanut butter and a. You can combine things together with a, like and, in the sense that you're putting one on top of the other, like they go together, not physically. Well, I mean, I guess you do when you make peanut butter jelly sandwich, but not physically, but that they go together in that sort of sense. This taga is actually completely optional. And in some cases, well, ka for one is optional completely. Some cases, ta also is optional. So you can just have a and it has the same meaning. So taga only serves to emphasize that meaning that is already within a. Okay. So this is just a quick summary. This isn't the lesson we're doing today. This is not going to even be in the abridged version I'm putting out. I just wanted to kind of give you a summary of the 5 different forms of taga. And they're all different. This one's different than this, is different than this, is different than this, is different than this. Okay, so let's go on to our form. Let's talk about our main form for today. Hopefully that didn't bore you. I just kind of wanted to talk about it because it's going to be a little bit important when we go over this form for today. You'll see why. You'll see why I talked about that. Okay, this form taga is used to show that 2 actions happen. So you have action A and action B. So this form is used to show that 2 actions are happening, action A and action B, and that action B happens after action A. So first action A happens and then action B happens. So A and then B is what this form means. But that's not it. This also shows that actions A and B happen at different locations. Different locations. Now, the actual meaning of taga here doesn't require that something happens in a different location. Doesn't actually require it. The actual meaning of it, and this is because this is an advanced class, I'm telling you guys, the actual meaning of taga is simply one action happens immediately after another. It's just A and then B. That's what taga means. Right after this. But the usage of taga, the way it's actually used, is to do this in order to show that something happens in a different location. Taga is used simply to emphasize verbs happening, if that makes any sense. It's used simply as an emphatic particle to emphasize these verbs happening. By doing that, the usage of this form is actually just to show that A happens and then B happens, and that A and B are happening in different locations. So do something in A, and then in a different location, go somewhere else, and then do action B. And that these happen in order, first A and then B. A, of course, will be whatever you use before here. So if we say 하다가, 하다, just 2 verbs, or let's say 가다가 하다, 가다가, so go somewhere, and then 하다, doing something, and going is in a different location, and doing something is in another location. And that's a terrible example. I probably shouldn't have even used 가다 with that example. Let's just say, scrap that. It's just 2 things happening in different actions. So I realize it sounded very vague for me to explain that with words. Let's just check here. Okay, so we can I can give another note for this. Write this down. Keep in mind that whenever you use this form taga, it shows that the two actions are happening in order. This has the feeling of not just A and B, but like A, that's the first thing, and then B, that was the second thing. It has that feeling of two actions that are being done in this order. And by doing that, the usage of it is that they're in different locations. Okay, I think that's all I need to talk about for that. Okay, there's something else that you need to know about this form though. And I was actually scratching my head a lot about this because I couldn't find this explained in any other grammar book that I was checking. And I check every time I prepare for these lessons, you guys, I check a lot of sources to make sure that I'm including everything important about a grammar form. And there was one part about this grammar form that I couldn't find in other resources teaching it. When you're using this form, this is very important. There needs to be an object. That's a noun. There needs to be an object. Some action verb needs to be doing something with a noun. There needs to be an object for the action verb to affect. By that I mean, and that's kind of why I scrapped my example with hada before, because I realized that's not an appropriate verb to use it with. Because of that, you cannot use this form. Oh, let me say that again. Because of this, you cannot use this form with any action verb that can't take an object. So you couldn't do this with something like tada, like sleeping, because you're not sleeping anything. You also, actually, let's say this in a second. Okay, so it has to be used with an object it has to be used with an object, some sort of noun, because this form is used to show that not only action A happens and then action B happens in a different place, but that action A is doing something with a noun and then brings that noun to place B. I'll say that again. So this form is actually used in a very specific situation, and that is when you have a noun that's being affected by the action verb is doing something to that noun and then moving that noun to another location where it finishes with it, whatever it is. Now, this noun will typically be an object, though it could be a person, like moving someone to another location. This will typically be an object, something that you're doing something to. So you can say something like, I'm going to take an umbrella somewhere and give it to someone. Okay, you have an object, umbrella. You're taking it. That's the first action, going to another location and doing something else with it and giving it to someone. This form cannot be used if there is no noun. You can never say something like, 공부해다가. What are you doing? What are you studying to? Where's the object? You're not moving any object. It wouldn't make any sense to say that you're studying and like maybe you want to say, well, I studied at home and then I went to the library. So different locations. 공부해다가 도서관에 갔어요. A and then B. Good. Bad. There is no object in that example. You have to do something to an object and move it to a location. So in your mind, imagine that when you're using this form, you're carrying a noun. You're carrying something, or whoever's doing this is carrying something, bringing it to another location. In order. First they're here, they do something with the object, then they go somewhere else and do something else with the object. That's what this form is used for. That's it. If you don't have an object, you cannot use this form. Also, let's make sure I'm doing everything, explaining everything properly. Okay. Because of that, there's other verbs you can't use this with. I'll just let you know right away. There are more than this. This isn't all the verbs you can't use it with, but 먹다. Can you tell me why you cannot use this form, 먹어다가, Why can't you say that? 피자를 먹어다가 친구 집에 갔어요. Why can't I say that? Why would that be wrong? Let me know. What do you think in the chat? You cannot say 먹어다가 or 입어다가 with clothes. Why not? Why do you think? Oh, hey, Secretive. Let's just check to see if I missed anyone else coming in. Rebecca, did I say hi to you before? If not, hi. If I did already, hi twice. See if anyone else came in while I was here. Okay. Why can't I say that? Because after you eat it, it's gone. That's right. Because after you eat it, there's no more pizza. You can't bring the pizza if it's in your stomach. Like, I think there's like a, what is it that, I was thinking of like famous dialogue line from Home Alone. I can't remember it right now. Anyway, yeah, once the food's gone, it's gone. Same with wearing something. So once you eat something, it's gone. You're not going to be able to carry it somewhere else. You're not going to be able to bring it to a second location. I mean, you know, you could say, 피자를 먹어다가 친구한테 줬어요. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't make any, okay, that's what it would mean. It doesn't make any sense. And you can't use 입다 either for the same reason, because you're not carrying, you're just wearing it. You're just wearing your clothes. Now it's worn, it's gone. And then you go somewhere. That you're not bringing something to someone. You already have it on your body. So you can't use it with any verbs that can't take an object, first of all. But you also can't use it with any verbs that would dispose of the object, because then it's gone. Yeah. Hopefully that's clear. So that's why I was saying, keep in mind, think about the idea of carrying something when you're using this form, and you won't have to ruin it. Okay, so let's try to summarize everything here. Let's try to make this a little bit simpler, because we've talked about a lot of stuff. How can we understand this form at the simplest level? You carry something from A to B. Okay. Also, though, remember that these are still going to be, you're still going to be action verb. You're still going to be doing something with the object. So it's not just that you have something already. You might have to get the object with the first action verb and then give it to someone or throw it away or do whatever with the second part. But keep in mind, it's going to be you're moving something. Maybe not even carrying, but moving might be better, because you're not always going to be carrying it in your hands. You're moving something. So keep in mind, this form is like showing that you're moving something, or someone is moving something from location A to location B. First, they're doing A. They're doing something in location A, and then they're doing it in location B, in that sort of meaning. Okay, that is... Okay. I can help you guys understand this a little bit, even a little bit better. There is another grammar form that you can replace with this form most of the time. You can actually replace this form with 서 in most situations. They're not the same meaning, but logically, they work the same. Logically. What does 서 mean? By 서, I don't mean the meaning of because. That's different. I mean 서 when it's used to connect two related actions. So I mean... Yeah, again, I don't mean that 서. I don't mean 서 when you're using it to say because. I'm talking about 서 when it's used to mean and then, when it's used to connect two related actions to each other. If you don't know this form, again, this live stream is beyond your level for today. But this is a low intermediate grammar form that's used to connect something. So you do something and then you do something. And they're both related objects. For example, you would say, 도서관에 가서 공부했어요. So you go to the library and you study. But by that, it's saying you're not just going to the library and then later in the day you're studying somewhere. No, it's you're going to the library, 가서, and you're studying, and those actions are related. Therefore, you are studying at the library. Whereas if you said 도서관에 가고 공부했어요, it's just I went to the library and then I studied and then I did this, but it's not necessarily where you did your studying. It's just listing things, this and this and this. It has no relationship. It doesn't have to be. 서 is only for related actions. In that, you can actually replace this 타가 form with 서 in your head. If you see any sentence in Korean that ends with this 오 타가 form, and you can't quite make sense of what it means, mentally replace it with 서 in your head, and it'll have the same meaning. Is that to say that these forms are the same? No. Can you swap them? No. But logically, you can replace this with 서, and it'll still make sense. So that's a trick. That's a pro tip for you. Again, that is not in any grammar lesson you'll find. This is tip straight for me. Just replace it with in your head. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm not saying that the forms are the same, of course. We're going to talk about, let's see. Okay. I'm not saying, though, that it's the same as 서. And let me give you an example. Who can guess? Here are two forms. 사주다, 사다 주다. This one just uses 사서 주다. So 사다 to buy, 사서 with the 서 form, and then giving it to someone, 주다. 사주다. To buy something for someone. 사다 주다. This 타 is actually the same as 타가. Whenever you're using the 타가, oh yeah, I didn't mention that. Whenever you're using whenever you're using any 타가 form, the 가 is always optional. So this 사다 is actually 사다가 주다. Who can guess the difference between 사주다 and 사다 주다? They are not the same thing. I'll give you like 30 seconds. See what you guys can do. 피자를 한 입 먹어다가. No, because the action verb has to be that you're going to be carrying it to someone, bringing it somewhere. You can say 피자를 한 입 먹고 가져가다. Yeah, that's okay, because now you're taking it. But it wouldn't be 먹다, because if you're eating it, it's all gone, or whatever piece you ate is gone. So you're taking one bite and bringing it somewhere else? No, it's the action that moves it. 먹다 doesn't move it, just eats it. So if you said that, 한 입 먹어다가, you're only bringing that one bite. That'd be like, and then going somewhere else. No, you wouldn't be able to use that. Buy for something versus buy and give. Yes, that's right. Alexis Queen, you got it. Buy for someone. 사주다, buying it. 주다, giving it. But by that it means actually buying it as a favor, buying it for someone. Like, hey, actually I think I even wrote this down. Yeah, just buying something for someone. Like, hey, I don't have any money. Buy it for me. That sort of thing. Like, hey, we're both at the store. 이거 좀 사줘. Buy this for me, please. Give me the act of buying it. You buy it for me. This doesn't have the meaning of giving it to me. Just buy it for me. You could say, you could be standing outside of a really big house and your wife or your husband says, 사주세요, buy this for me. Oh, they wouldn't be polite. 사줘요, 사줘, buy this for me, right? You're just buying it. You could buy anything for someone else. This is normal. 사다 주다, however, uses this 타가 form. It looks the same as the other 타가 form, but that's just how it can conjugate. That's how 사다 conjugates anyway, is the same. But this one means you're buying something, you're bringing it somewhere else, and then you're giving it to someone. So by that, it's like saying, you buy something. There, go buy it. And then bring it here to a different place, carry it to me, and give it to me. So go buy it for me. 사다 줘. Go buy it for me, as in like, and actually give it to me. Not just buying it for me, like instead of me, I don't have money. But here, I'm going to give you money. 사다 줘. Go buy it for me. It could be I'm giving you money. Maybe I'm saying you go buy it for me. You buy it. But it doesn't specify. But just this has the act of actually going there, bringing the item after you buy it, right? You have to bring the item. It has to be moving an object and then giving it to me. So this doesn't imply just that they're paying for you. This implies they're buying it for you. Just the act of purchasing it. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. Again, if you weren't familiar with this, you might not get this part on top of it. Just your daily reminder that we are in an advanced live class today. Okay. Another thing, just like the 서 form, this 타가 form also tends to show a relationship between the two actions. The way it does that, though, is different than the 서 form. Again, this is a bit technical. The way it does that is different than the way that the 서 form shows a relationship. The 서 form shows relationship by saying that one action happens immediately after the other action. In fact, so much that it's at the same location. It's using the same noun. It's doing the same thing. Like that sort of connection. The 타가 form, however, shows a relationship a little bit differently. It does that by showing that the same action, it does that by showing the same object is being moved to two locations. So the 타가 form also is used to show relationship between two verbs. So you're only going to use them with two verbs that would be related to each other. So 사다 주다, like buying it and then giving it to me. You wouldn't say like 사다 do and then go somewhere else. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like why would you buy something and then go somewhere else unless there's a context for that? You'd buy something and throw it away. Well, I guess you wouldn't do that either. Buy something and give it to someone, right? Buy something and then eat it, right? Or do something like that. You buy something and do something with it, not buy something and then do something unrelated. So it does also show a relationship. Just the way it shows a relationship is different than the way that the 서 form shows a relationship. Again, this is a bit technical. You can ignore this if you're not already familiar with the way that the 서 form is used to show relationship. Okay, so because of that, it's okay to swap 타가 with 서 in your head and understand it. Even when you're translating something, if you just want to rewrite the sentence, feel free to swap 타가 with 서. It'll still make sense most of the time. Again, except, one more note about this. Except the 타가 form is actually not as common as you might think. If you ever want to say that you're doing something with a noun and then doing something else with it, most of the time, Korean speakers will simply use the 서 form, the regular 서 form that you're already familiar with. Doing something and then doing something else with that. 서, because this has the same usage. Except in cases where using the 서 form would be repetitive. Let's see if I have an example of that. Yes, I do have an example of that. I'll give it to you in a few more sentences. I'll point that out when I talk to it. So if it would be repetitive to use the 서 form more than once, then you have to use 타가. And in fact, that's a lot of cases where Koreans prefer using 타가 is when they've already used a 서 in the sentence right before it. And it would sound awkward to say to 서, like doing something like 봐서, 옮겨서. Two 서's in a row sounds awkward in Korean, in which case Koreans will think it sounds more natural to use 타가 in the second part. Hopefully that made sense. We're going to do an example of that in a few example sentences. Okay, I know I'm explaining a lot of stuff and I haven't even given you guys a single sentence yet, so let's rectify that in just a second. Okay, so if you want, just use the 서 form. It's going to sound good. If it's going to be repetitive though, like if you have one 서 that's being used to mean because, or maybe another one that means and then you have another 서 form that means like you're doing something with an object and doing something else, the second one needs to be 타가 to avoid it sounding repetitive and unnatural. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Does that make sense? Please tell me that makes sense. And then there's one more thing you need to know about this taga form. I said how to conjugate this form in the beginning was you simply take an action verb stem and you attach a, o, you make it into the yo form, and then you attach taga, and the ka is optional. Never use an honorific. That form I showed you in the beginning is it. Once you've got that, you're done. You don't need honorifics. In fact, if you use an honorific, it's wrong. It doesn't just sound awkward. It's not just unnecessary. It sounds wrong. Don't use honorifics. For example, even if you wanted to say someone did something, and you might want to say like grandmother brought me a dandelion, you wouldn't say 가져 가셔다가. No, 가져 가다가, just like normal. Do not use this form here with honorifics. Ever, no matter who you're talking about. It will sound wrong and awkward, and I will laugh at you. I'm serious. Okay. But again, like I said, this form isn't that commonly used. It's usually used for, like I said, it's for emphasis anyway, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, sense has been made. Okay, glad sense is being made. We just take a sip of some caffeine. Okay, now it's time to start with our sentences. I've made you guys wait long enough. Oops. Oh, not old. I was thinking about clothes. 이 우산. So we're going to have an umbrella here. So we have our object is going to be umbrella. Yeah, let me rewrite that just so it's nicer. I know you guys are advanced or intermediate. You can still read it, but still. 가져다가. Okay, there we go. 쓰세요. 이 우산을 가져다가 쓰세요. This umbrella, 가져다가, comes from the verb 가지다. 가지다 is to take, to have something, like you have it on your person. You're holding it, you're possessing it. So take, 가져다가. Take this umbrella at location A, right here. Take it. Right? I'm offering you the little red balloon out of the sewer grate. 가져다가 쓰세요. Take it, although Pennywise probably wouldn't say use it like that. He'd just take it. Anyway, 가져. 이거 나 가져. Here, take this. 가져다가 쓰세요. So take this, and then wherever you go, somewhere else, 쓰세요. You could think of this mentally as 가져서 쓰세요. 가져서 쓰세요. Take it and then use it. But using this emphasizes that now these two actions are happening in different places. So take it and then, after that, in order, remember I said this is like a sequence. So first this and then this. So it's saying the order something happens in. This is therefore emphasizing that this takes place in order and that they take place at different locations. Versus 서, which doesn't do that. 서 simply specifies one thing happens and then another happens, and they're related to each other. This one emphasizes, though, further. No. This happens and then this happens, and it's at a different place. Like it's completely later. It's after it. 가져다가 쓰세요. So take this and then go somewhere. Go. Off with you. And then 쓰세요. And then use it. So take this and use this. Take this umbrella and use it wherever else you go. 이 우산을 가져다가 쓰세요. So that's what you would say if you're letting someone have your umbrella. Okay. 저기서 물고기를 잡아다가 먹을까요? 저기서, over there, way over there, 물고기, fish. You know, kind of a funny thing is that originally, 물고기 is a combination of 물, of course, water, and 고기, meat. So if you say 물, if you say meat of the water, that's supposed to be 물의 고기, if you're connecting two nouns together. Well, this actually went away because this gets shortened to just this, the 사이시옷, as it's called, the between 시옷. And this represents the 의, possessive marker. So this, and that's why you see lots of words that have that at the when they connect. So this was actually, let me write this a little bit cleaner. 물고기. 물고기 is how the sound changes. Over time, this got removed, no longer written that way. And this doesn't need to be written that way either. But the sound change stuck. That's why this is pronounced as 물고기, not 물고기. 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 Okay. Tell me what this sentence means. Try to translate what this sentence means. I want you guys to try it. What does the sentence mean? Let's check to see if anyone else new came. This is my first live. I'm just reading the chat here. This is my first live. Well, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. This is your first live. 이 책을 가져다가 읽으세요. So yeah, take this book and go read it. Yeah, okay, that could work. Anyone have a guess? I want to see some guesses. Shall I catch and bring back that fish over there? Could be, yeah. Could be, bring back. And then 먹을까요? So shall we eat it then? Like here. Should we catch fish there and then eat it? Yep. Catch some fish and eat it. And then eat it somewhere? Yep. Fish over there and eat it. Okay. I like ayakatas. I'll give ayakata the point. 10 points for ayakata. Because you added in eat it somewhere. Yeah, and splinter, you got it too. Splinter. Take a fish and then eat it somewhere else. Correct. So the point about this form is that it's one thing happens in sequence, in order. So, and then another thing happens. And those two actions happen in different locations. So that's kind of the point to keep between these two. Oh, Rebecca. 설명해줘서 고마워요. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Rebecca, thank you. Rebecca. Let's do 5 dabs for Rebecca. Appreciate it. Yeah, take care, Rebecca. Yes. 저기서, there. 물고기를 잡아다가, so catch fish over there. 먹을까요? And shall we eat it? So shall we catch fish over there, and then after we catch it, go somewhere else and eat it? That's what it's asking. What do you think? 저기서 물고기를 잡아다가 먹을까요? 저기서 물고기를 잡아다가 먹을까요? So shall we go catch fish and eat it? Here, perhaps? You want to go catch fish and come back here and eat it? That could work. Or maybe go catch fish and then go somewhere else and cook it and eat it? Yeah. As long as it's happening in different locations and one action is happening after the other and they're related, it's perfect. And what is the noun here? What is being affected? What object is being carried from location A to location B? That is 물고기, fish. So we have a noun that is being carried. Therefore, this sentence works perfectly. 저기서 물고기를 잡아다가 먹을까요? So shall we go there, catch fish, and then go eat it somewhere else? Okay. Next, I want to give you a sentence that uses... Next, I want to give you a sentence where Koreans would definitely use 다가. 하얀 민들레. Mindele is a dandelion. Sometimes I get really messy. Like, you guys try writing with your arm like way out here. My writing is admittedly not very pretty in any language, as you can see, but it gets really bad when I'm like stretched out. 처음 봐서. So because I saw it the first time. Okay, so we have 서 already. Let me just finish writing the sentence and I'll check who our other supporter is. Okay, look over the sentence. Oh, it's orange. Tanya! Tanya Hoi! Tanya Hoi just broke my, I think you just broke my board. Hold on. Okay. Oh, no, I saw it still flashing. I'm like, what's going on? It's broken. And WOH. Thank you. Something's still going, it's still flashing. Oh, is it broken? I don't know what's going on. Okay, it's broken again. Okay, hold on. Turn it off. Okay, there we go. Thank you, both of you. First, Tanya. Thank you for the $10 donation. #1 fan GIF. Nice. And then WOH, Ude. Thank you for all, I'll put WOH over here. Thank you for all your great lessons. Thank you to both of you. Let's do a quick dab. I'm going to do 12 dabs for both of you. Stretch out. It's my fast dab. I've been working on it. No, it's seriously. Thank you, both of you guys. Thank you, everyone, so far. Okay, so back to the lesson. 하얀 민들레를 처음 봐서 화분에 옮겨다가 심었어요. 하얀 민들레. So a white dandelion, you know, like the little dandelions you see in your garden. 하얀 민들레를 처음 봐서, because I saw a white dandelion for my first time. 봐서. Here it means because, but it's still 서. Because of that, you don't want to use another 서 here. It would sound awkward to say 화분에 옮겨서, because you have 처음 봐서, 화분에 옮겨서. It sounds repetitive. It sounds a bit, yeah, it just sounds unnatural. So in this case, native Koreans would also prefer to use 다가 in this second one. Even though you don't need to. You could say 옮겨서 심었어요. You could just say, if we didn't have this part, 하얀 민들레를 화분에 옮겨서 심었어요. Works perfectly fine and is very natural sounding. 하얀 민들레를 처음 봐서 화분에 옮겨다가 심었어요. So 하얀 민들레, again, white dandelion, 처음 봐서, because it was my first time seeing a white dandelion. 화분 is a pot, a planter. 화분, specifically it's like for flowers, but it's any kind of planter. 화분에 옮겨다가, so I moved it into a flower pot, and in a different location there, so I have the flower pot and I'm moving it somewhere. 심었어요, and then I planted it. So I put it into a pot, and then I went and planted it. But it was so pretty. It was the first time I've ever seen a white dandelion. So I put it in a pot and moved it and planted it somewhere else. The noun that we're using, the noun that's being moved is 민들레. Or I guess you can even think it's the 화분, because it's in the 화분, but it's the 민들레. 하얀 민들레를 처음 봐서 화분에 옮겨다가 심었어요. So I saw a white dandelion for the first time in my life. I don't know, they're everywhere, but okay. And I liked it so much. So what did I do? 화분에 옮겨다가 심었어요. So I put it in a pot and moved it and planted it somewhere else. So yeah, in that sentence again, because it already has 서, it would be repetitive to say another one. So it's more common that they would add 다가 in that sort of situation. Okay. 동생 옷이 예뻐서. Again, we have 서 here. Because we already have a 서, I can tell you that this sentence needs 다가 in it. or else it's going to sound repetitive. 저도 사다가 입었어요. Again, you can't use 입다 or 먹다 for the verb that you're using with the form, but you can use it, of course, for afterward. Whatever you're doing with the object, it's fine. You just can't use it before because it's not possible to move it once you've already consumed it or used it. 동생 옷이 예뻐서, because my younger siblings' clothes are just so pretty, I wanted them too. So what did I do? 저도 사다가 입었어요. So I also bought them at the store, location A, and then brought them, the clothes, to location B and wore them. 입었어요. 동생 옷이 예뻐서 저도 사다가 입었어요. So because my younger siblings' clothes were so pretty, they're so nice looking, I wanted to have them too. So what did I do? I also went and bought them and put them on. So I bought them at the store and put them on. At home, somewhere else. 동생 옷이 예뻐서 저도 사다가 입었어요. Okay, next sentence. We have several more sentences I want to give. 2:50. Yeah, I'm already like 20 minutes behind. Whatever. 날씨가 추워지면, when the weather gets cold, 여기서 두꺼운 이불을 꺼내다가 덮으세요. Okay. 날씨가 추워지면, when the weather gets cold, 여기서, from here, 두꺼운 이불, a thick blanket. 꺼내다, to take out a thick blanket from here. So when the weather gets cold, take out a thick blanket from here, like the closet. 꺼내다가, so take it out and then go to your room or wherever you're going to sleep. 덮으세요, and then put it on you. So when the weather gets cold, take out a thick blanket and cover yourself with it. As in, you're not going to take it out of the closet and then put it on yourself right there. You're going to go into your room. You're going to go into the living room. So somewhere else besides here where we're at, 여기서, and you're going to put it on. 날씨가 추워지면 여기서 두꺼운 이불을 꺼내다가 덮으세요. So when the weather gets cold, take out a thick blanket from here and put it on wherever else you go. Okay. I know I'm doing this kind of quick, but I do have a whole nother form I need to cover today in this lesson, and it's already 2:50. I talked for way too long about this form. So, okay. One more sentence, and then we're going to do another thing to talk about. 저도 연을 갖고, 연 is a kite. 갖고 싶다고. So I said I also want to have a kite. 했더니. So I said that I wanted to have a kite too, and then after I said that, 아빠가 바로, I know we're running late on time, but I want you guys to finish this sentence yourself. 저도 연을 갖고 싶다고 했더니. So I said, hey, I want a kite. I want my own kite. And after I said that, my dad, right away, what did he do? What happened? I want you guys to make this sentence. I know we're running late. I should have already be finishing with our second form right now and then taking Q&A in a few minutes. But it's important. I want you guys to learn this form. This form takes a lot of practice, a lot of exposure to feel comfortable with, because it has a lot of specific uses, like where it can't and can't be used. I want to see what you guys can do. I'll give you a couple minutes. 발음이 진짜 좋으세요. Thank you. 탭 댄스 완전 재밌어. 탭 dance. Oh, hey, Korean Chatterbox. What's up? Oh. It was weird here. The weather got like a few weeks ago, the weather suddenly got hot. And then after it's like, nah, changed my mind. And it got cold again. Nice, nice. I'm not going to read them out loud, but I'm reading them in my head because if I read them out loud, I'm going to unconsciously tell people who's right and who's wrong right away. Nice. Very good, very good. I see several good answers here. Okay, I will say something. Ocean Discovery. I like where you're heading with it. Unfortunately, if I said I wanted to have a kite, so my dad right away bought it and then went to the park by himself, like you have to keep that in mind. So I said I really want a kite, so my dad's like, haha, well, I'm gonna buy a kite and then see you later, sucker, and takes the kite and goes to the park. So I would say no for that answer because it sounds like the dad's just going by himself to the park. 갔다 is 가지다. So 가지고 싶다고, 갖고 싶다고, same thing. There's exceptions where you can't use this one over the other, but for this sort of thing, it's fine. 만들어다가 줬어요. 은혜. That is almost exactly what I have. Okay, very good. I liked it. You guys have some really good answers. 만들어다가 주셨어요. So, 저도 연을 갖고 싶다고 했더니, so I said that I also want to have a kite. I want a kite too. So my dad, 아빠가 바로, my dad right away, after hearing that, I said I wanted to have a kite. What he did was, 만들어다가 주셨어요. He made it. He went and made it. He went off to his workbench, made a kite. I don't know, do you knit a kite? How do you make one? Anyway, he made a kite and then came back, 주셨어요. And then he gave it to me. Now, I'm putting the honorific here. Again, this form doesn't get honorifics. So you wouldn't say, 만드셔다가, that would be wrong. 만들어다가 주셨어요. So this is where you add the honorific. So you're not making it less honorific by not putting it here. You're still making it honorific, just not on this form. 저도 연을 갖고 싶다고 했더니 아빠가 바로 만들어다가 주셨어요. 저도 연을 갖고 싶다고 했더니 아빠가 바로 만들어다가 주셨어요. So my dad just went right ahead and made it for me. So I said I also wanted to have a kite, and my dad right away went and made one somewhere else and then gave it to me here. So taking the kite after he made it and bringing it here. So there's an object that's being moved from one location to another. 저도 연을 갖고 싶다고 했더니 아빠가 바로 만들어다가 주셨어요. Okay. One more thing we need to talk about for this form before we go on to our next form, which is similar but a little bit different. You might have already noticed, but sometimes this new form will conjugate the exact same way as the regular taga form, which is used to say while. This one is just used to show two actions happen. The second action interrupts the first action happening while it happened. So action 1 happens immediately after action 2 happens, kind of cutting it off. So action 1 never finished. This form, for example, how do you conjugate the verb 가다 to the 요 form? 가요. 가다가. How do you conjugate this form? You take the verb stem, not conjugated, take the verb stem and you attach 다가. So with some verbs, it'll a lot of verbs, it'll look completely different. Like we just saw one. 만들다 becomes 만들러다가, not 만들다가. That's different. If I had said 만들다가 주셨어요, that's like he didn't finish making it and he just gave it to me. It's like half-made kite. That's not even how you would say that, but it doesn't mean that. But sometimes verbs will conjugate the same as their verb stem. Another one is 사다, to buy. What's the 유 form of 사다? Well, it's just 사요, so it would be 사다가, whether it's used with this form or with our new form. So sometimes verbs can look the exact same whether they're conjugated with this new form or the regular taga form. So if it is, how can you tell which one it is? I'm going to give you guys a sentence. I want you to guess which form it is. If I'm talking about while, or if I'm talking about this new form with two actions in separate locations. Oops. Why did I write that all weird? I would totally not pay attention. Okay. 운동을 하러 가다가 친구를 만나서 얘기를 했어요. 가다가. Which 가다가 is this? Is this while? Or is this the new one with two locations doing something? Take a moment to think about it. Think about it, really think about it for give yourself 30 seconds to think about it. Don't rush. Because if you get it wrong, you might need to revisit the lesson. Either one, maybe this, the while lesson or this lesson. Chloe Lee, your example has different tenses that don't match. The problem would be the first part is 했더니. So I said that I wanted to have a kite, so my dad is going to make one and then we're going to go to the park together. Sounds very fragmented sentence. It doesn't sound like it flows because of what I just said in English. Like I said I wanted to have a kite too, so what happened is my dad is going to make one right away and we're going to the park. But the toni form itself is as a result. So it has to be for past tense. So you can't say, then we're going to go to the park. It doesn't fit. I said I want to make a kite, and as a result to that, my father makes one right now. We're going to go to the park. So it doesn't flow. I get what you're trying to say, though, but you wouldn't be able to say it that way. Okay. That's right. This one is while, as many of you correctly guessed. 운동을 하러 가다가, so while going to go exercise, 친구를 만나서, I met my friend, and then, right after meeting my friend, 얘기했어요. We talked. So I talked with my friend. These two actions are related, meeting and talking with the friend. This could not be taga that we just did for today, because there is no noun that's being carried from one location to another. 가다가. Although it's conjugated the same way, it only means while in this example. So it'll always be clear from the context. You don't really need to think like, oh, I hear this like 아다가 or 오다가. That must mean like separate locations, bringing an object in a different location. You don't really have to think of it so much like that. Just think of it as one action happening and then another action happening. And then if you're not sure, try switching this to 가서. 가서. Would it make sense as 가서? Or would it make more sense as 가는 동안 for while? In this case, it makes more sense as 가는 동안. 운동을 하러 가서, I went to go exercise and then there, 친구를 만나서, I met my friend and then I talked. You're going to exercise. You're not going to talk to your friend. 가다가 interrupts you. So although you were going to exercise, something stopped you. You're not going to exercise now. You met your friend. This matches much better, while. So it'll be clear from the context. Just check it. Think about it for a little bit. Most of the time, though, you won't have to worry about this. But some verbs like 가다, 사다, other ones that conjugate the same way, there's only a few. You have to be careful by context as to which version it's talking about. Okay, very good, though. So if you guessed it was while, you are correct. Okay, we're not done yet. The next form we have looks very similar, but it's conjugated differently. The way you do it is you take a verb stem and you conjugate it into the past tense. And then you get that verb stem. And the verb stem will always end with these, two of these. Then you attach taga. And again, the ka, as always, is optional. What does this form mean? This form shows that action A happens before action B. Look familiar? So action A happens, and then in order, action B happens. However, this doesn't have to be in a different location. This doesn't have to be at a different location. This can be in the same location. It doesn't matter. This simply says one action happens and then in order the next action happens. But there's some differences. Not only does action A happen and then action B happens, but action A completely happens. Action A happens and it's done. It's past tense. It's completely finished. You go to a location, you are completely there. You've finished doing something. So you can think of it kind of like meaning 다 하고 나서, 다 한 다음에. This is just a tip. You can think of this form as literally meaning 다, verb, so 하다, 다 한 다음에. So after completely doing action A, then action B. So does that mean this form is the same as saying 다 간 다음에, 다 한 다음에? No. This form is used to show two actions that are contrasting. This form is used to show contrast between action A and action B. But contrast in the sense that action A happened, and hey, but look, then after action A, then action B. These two things contrast in some way. Often, this contrast will be something unexpected, but it doesn't have to. It's mainly just to show some sort of contrast, like, hey, A, but after A, B. But, or and. Now, contrast, if you remember from the te form, contrast doesn't necessarily mean but all the time. There's also and. It's just to compare two things, to show contrast between two things. That's what this form also does. Often it'll be A happened completely, and after that, unexpected to me, B happened. That sort of meaning is what this form is used to do. Just like the regular taga form, though, both subjects must be the same. So I did action A, and then I did action B. You can never have something like, I do action A, and then my friend did action B. It has to be the same subject. I'll say that once more because I don't have any space to write this down. You have to use the same subject for both of these actions. The same person has to be doing both action A and action B. And this is the same as when you use the regular taga form. Like, while I was going to school, I met a friend. While I was going to school, 철수 did something doesn't make any sense with this form. You could use a different form to say while, 동안, which would be okay. 제가 학교를 가는 동안 철수가 죽었어요, or something like that. 철수 died while I was going to school. That's fine. But you can't say 가다가. It doesn't make any sense. It has to be the same person doing it. And the same also applies to the 서 form. So you can see that this form is actually quite related to the 서 form in that it's simply a more emphatic version of it, more emphasis on it. In the way they have a lot of the same rules, the same restrictions. Okay. Also, this form is just used like this. You're not going to use the future tense or another tense with this. Just the past tense. Okay. So let's do an example sentence. And this should make a little more sense. I've got a few example sentences for you. 소문이 다가. Let's do a simple one. Oops. I was like, it's so easy just to forget that. Let's do a really basic one. 학교에 갔다가 past tense 도서관에 갔어요. So, again, this form shows, first of all, both subjects are the same. So going to the library and going to school, it's the same person. It's going to be me. Also, the first verb completely finishes before starting the second verb. So you go to the school and you arrive at the school. 학교에 도착한 다음에, after you've arrived at the school. Completely, you're there. You're not on your way to school. You've got to school. You are in school. It's open. You got inside. Everything's done. It's finished. You are inside of school. After which, the next thing that you do is you went to the library. In contrast, a little bit, in contrast with going to the school. So I went to the school and I did stuff there. I completely went to the school. So I'm done. I'm doing everything I need to do there. And then after that, after I finished all I have to do with going to school, maybe on the way to school, I'm meeting my friend, I'm going to buy a snack, all of that's done. After everything is done, then what am I going to do? Well, then I'm going to go to the library. So after I went to school, did all my school stuff, took all my classes, whatever, all of it's done, then I went to the library. So I went to the library after going to school. So I went to school, and then after that, I went to the library. That's sort of meaning. 갔다가. Okay, let's do another example sentence. This was just one. This form you'll hear used in some common expressions, and maybe the most common expression you're going to hear. 갔다 올게요. 갔다 올게요. Most people will say 갔다, but you could say 갔다가 올게요, I guess. That's fine too. It's the same thing. Let's actually make this a little better. 금방 갔다 올게요. 금방. Right away. 갔다. Right away, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to do something there. Completely going to somewhere else. I'm going to finish everything I need to do there. And then after that, and then I'll come back. So I'm going to go somewhere and then I'm going to come back. So I'll be back in a while. I'm going to be gone for a bit, but I'll be back. That's what it means. It's emphasizing that you're going there and doing all of it. I'm going to be gone for a bit, but implying that I'm coming back. 금방 갔다 올게요. 금방 갔다 올게요. 금방 갔다 올게요. I'll be right back. Okay? Don't wait up. I'll be right back. I'm going to go somewhere. After I finish everything there, then I'm going to come back here. 금방 갔다 올게요. But I'll be quick. But I'm doing everything there. But I'll be quick. Okay. This is a very common expression. Use it anytime you're leaving the house. You can say 갔다 올게. You don't have to say the whole thing. 금방 갔다가 올게요. You could do that if you want. 갔다 올게요. I'll be back. I wonder, does Terminator in Korea say 갔다 올게요? I don't know. Has anyone watched Terminator in Korea? Can you tell me, does Arnold Schwarzenegger say 금방 갔다 올게? Does he say that as the Terminator? Or does he just say I'll be back? Or does he say something really formal like 나중에 다시 돌아오겠습니다? 돌아오겠습니다. 꼭 돌아오겠습니다. Like sounds like romantic also. I'll make sure to come back for you. Okay, I'm wondering what does Terminator say in Korean? Does he say I'll be back like that, or does he say something else? And what does he say for hasta la vista? Does he say like 안녕히 계세요 여러분? 안녕히 계세요. Goodbye everyone. I wonder what does Arnold say in those movies? Okay. 그 영화관에 sorry, there's no space. 갔다가. Now, you don't have to only use this with 갔다가. I just used it with 갔다가 for these examples. 전 여자친구를 Wow, I wrote this really messy. I apologize. This is too messy. This doesn't represent the quality content that you're all expecting on my channel. And then I proceed to write it even worse than before. 갔다가. Okay. Let's write it down here. 전 여자친구를 봤어요. Okay. 그 영화관. That movie theater. I went to the movie theater. 그 영화관에 갔다가. And then after I got there, so I'm in the movie theater. Maybe I finished watching a movie or maybe I'm getting ready to watch a movie, but I'm in the movie theater. 전 여자친구를 봤어요. I saw my ex-girlfriend. So I went to the movie theater and there is where I saw my ex-girlfriend. That sort of meaning. 그 영화관에 갔다가 전 여자친구를 봤어요. 그 영화관에 갔다가 and at the movie theater, after I'm completely there, 전 여자친구, my ex-girlfriend. 전 means previous or pre or before. 전 여자친구, 전 남자친구, 전 남편. Like that, it works. Ex, whatever. 전 여자친구를 봤어요. So I saw my ex-girlfriend at the movie theater. Or literally, I went to the movie theater and saw my ex-girlfriend there. 그 영화관에 갔다가 전 여자친구를 봤어요. Okay. One more example sentence. This is our last example sentence. We've done a lot today, haven't we, guys? We've done so many example sentences, so many forms. But I mean, this is what you can expect from an advanced lesson. 카페. Again, this is a word. 카페 is a word that's written differently than it's pronounced, and it's not the only word. There are a lot of them. This one is actually pronounced as 카페, but it's written as 카페. Officially, it's supposed to be pronounced as 카페. Who says 카페? The people on the news. The people in your textbook. This is just pronounced as 카페, though. It's kind of weird. I guess because it sounds fancy. 카페. Like you want to sound like you're from France. 카페. 잠깐. Now we're going to use 들르다. 들렀다. 들렀다가. Oh, another note. 들으다. Sorry. 들르다 is commonly incorrectly conjugated as 들려. So you might see people say 들렸다가 or say it. It's very common. Or 들려서. 집에 들려서, like stop by my house. 들르다 is to stop by somewhere. Like you're on your way somewhere and you stop by. 들르다. You'll hear people incorrectly conjugate it as 들려. Just be aware, people might say 들려서 or 들렸어요 or something like that. It's wrong, but it's very commonly used. The correct way is 들러, 들러서, 들렀다가. And a lot of people will still say it correct, but you'll hear it both ways. Just a little note. 들렀다가. So I stopped by a cafe for a second. And then after I went to the cafe, after I had a drink, chat with friends, studied there, whatever, everything I did there after stopping by. Then, next, what I did was, 학교로 갈까요? So then, after going to the cafe and studying there, eating something or drinking something, meeting a friend, whatever you do at the cafe, then shall we go to school? So hey, how about we go get a drink at the cafe and chat there for a bit and do stuff there and study and then go to school. That's what this means. 카페 잠깐 들렀다가 학교로 갈까요? 카페 잠깐 들렀다가 학교로 갈까요? 카페 잠깐 들렀다가 학교로 갈까요? So, shall we stop by a cafe for a bit, and get a drink and talk, and then go to school? In English, naturally, we would say something like, hey, you want to go grab a drink at the cafe on our way to school? But it doesn't just mean walking to school, you grab a drink and you leave. You go to the cafe, you get a drink. You might talk there for a second. You don't know. You just, whatever, everything you need to do there is completely finished. So you don't necessarily have to stop and talk inside, but everything you plan to do is done. So you go inside, you order a drink, you get the drink, you can come out. That's fine too. And then you go to school. So should we first get a drink at the cafe before we go to school? That's what it implies. Okay. Whew. We did a lot of stuff in today's lesson. We had a lot of advanced lessons. We had three advanced lessons in a row, or 2 advanced and 1. Anyway, we had a lot of advanced lessons lately. If you guys think this is too much, please make a request. I do all of these lessons based on requests. So if you feel like, Billy, I wish you did more beginner classes, or Billy, I wish you did more advanced classes, now is your chance. Join my channel as a member, come into my Discord and make a request, or you can also join Patreon. That's good too. Come into my Discord channel in the member section and make a request for a topic you'd like to see, a specific grammar topic or form you'd like to learn about, something you're just curious about that I haven't already taught, and I will add it to the next voting options. There's going to be 5 new voting options. So now is your chance to get something new in there. That is all of our lesson for today. So thank you everyone for coming in. Hopefully, I know I wasn't reading the chat too much toward the end of the lesson. I just wanted to make sure we finished on time. But yeah, thank you for coming, and feel free to ask questions. I'll take questions for the next 10 minutes. We'll have a short Q&A, and then we'll be done for today. Congrats everyone on making it through another advanced lesson. Yes, that's right. If you are in here and you feel like you kind of followed along, give yourself a pat on the back. Today's lesson is very long. This is more notes than I write for most lessons. The entire page is filled, not just with sentences, but like teaching. Like this is sentences, this is teaching, and all of this is teaching. So yeah, it's like over half of the page is just stuff I needed to explain. So this was very advanced, although you could definitely learn this form, how to conjugate it at any level as a beginner. To be able to use it, it's going to be advanced in why you would want to use it, because you can just use these whole form. Terminator in the Spanish sub says, "Sayonara, baby." Did anyone comment about Terminator when I said that for Terminator in Korean? Are you still watching Korean Chatterbox? I need to know. I need to know, what does Arnold Schwarzenegger say in the Korean dub of the Terminator? Are you going to give it a Billy score of today's lesson? Thank you, Evolving Brain. Let's see. 2 dabs for your donation. Today's Billy score is going to be 8 out of 10 in difficulty. I'll say that, 8 out of 10. We've done other lessons, I think, that are harder to grasp than this, but it did require a lot of prior knowledge to use this form. So I'll say 8 out of 10 difficulty. 9 out of 10 would be the form we did when we learned about pa for that advanced lesson. That was maybe the most difficult topic that we've done for how difficult it is to grasp. I would say pa so far. Why is ka in taga optional? Why is it optional? Because it doesn't add any extra meaning. It just adds further emphasis. But it's a separate particle that gets added. So that's the reason. It's a separate particle that gets added to it. But all it does is add further emphasis. And it's dropped a lot. 생일 파티를 갔다가 빌리 선생님이 you couldn't say 선생님이 봤어요 because that's the subject marker. if you see someone, you have to mark them as an object, who it is that you see or what it is that you see. So that would be the object of the verb 보다, not subject. Subject would be who or what is doing an action, or who or what is being described directly by a descriptive verb. 데려다 주다. Yes, that is this form as well. 데려다가 주다. To bring someone somewhere. We also had the form 가져다 주다, which is what we saw too. 설명을 들었다, 다 이해했어요. Just reading your messages. Ayakata, because you can think of it, again, you can think of it like after I heard your lesson, I understood all of it. So after I heard this lesson, heard the explanation of grammar, then I understood all of it. Grammatically, sure. What's the difference between 걱정하다 and 고민? That's a good question. 걱정. It doesn't apply to only 걱정하다, but any use of 걱정 and 고민. Oops, not 고민. Very easy explanation. 걱정 is to worry about something, or you're concerned about something. Something like that really you're stressed about. Like, oh, I'm really worried about, I'm really stressed about it. 걱정이 돼. I'm really getting worried. 걱정하고 있다. 고민 can also translate as concern or worry, but it's only in the sense that you're thinking it. It's not bothering you that much. You would say you are 걱정 about your friend in school. They're always sick. You would be 고민, thinking about what clothes you want to wear that day, thinking about how you want to do your hair, kind of wondering about some small question you have, not 걱정 about what to wear. If you're 걱정 about what to wear, it's because you're too fat. You can't wear it. That's why. Like you've grown too much, or you've lost too much weight and you're way too skinny and you can't fit any of your clothes. Ah, 걱정이 돼. I'm worried. I don't have any clothes to wear. Or maybe your clothes are all ripped or they're all old. So you're like really 걱정. Like, oh no, I don't have money. I don't have time to buy more clothes. 걱정 is actually stressing, worrying about something. 고민 is just kind of thinking about it. You're worried about it a little bit, but not a real concern. 고민. I've had that because I started exercising like 2 years ago. I normally exercised anyway, but like I started doing like strength, like, push-ups and pull-ups. And once I started doing those every day, my shoulders got bigger. Like I never had shoulders before. And then suddenly it's like, whoop, then they existed. And then overnight, within like a week, all my shirts didn't fit. 걱정하고 있었어요. I was worried because I didn't have any other clothes. Like all of my clothes at once didn't fit anymore because of the shoulder part. Like they still fit my stomach. I hadn't gained any weight in my stomach. I hadn't gotten any taller, but my shoulders got bigger. So all of a sudden, none of my clothes fit. So I was really 걱정 about that. And I was 고민 what I should do. But I was 걱정 about the situation, if that helps. Evolving brain. I knew I saw a flicker in the corner of my screen. Evolving brain. Evolving brain, I think you're the biggest supporter today. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, evolving brain is today's top supporter. Thank you. Can you please use 본 적이 있다, 이라고, 다가, and 으면 all in one sentence? Oh my, 이라고. It's not gonna be natural. I could put them in a sentence. I've seen, let's see. Let's see. 그 친구를 철수라고 불러본 적이 있으면. So if you have ever called that person by the name of 철수 before, 그 친구한테 걔한테 This is really awkward. I say after I meet him, trying to think of how I can put the sure, I'll just do it. It's not natural though. Like, why do you need to say after you completely go to see him? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is so unnatural though. Like, I put them together and grammatically it makes sense. This is like the most unnatural sentence I've ever seen. And I wrote it. No, I can't do it. Not that I would say, like, I did it. I just did it. But I wouldn't say it's natural. I don't know. Try asking a native if they can come up with a sentence that has all four of those. Because as soon as you say 면, you're kind of breaking up the sentence just by adding the 면 in there. That's the part that messes up the sentence, is having to put if you go into a sentence. 본 적이 있다 is not a big deal. 일하고 is not a big deal either. That's just a quote. The past tense, the 다가, is also pretty easy to do. But the 면 part messes it up because it breaks the sentence into two pieces and then it doesn't logically flow. Like, if you've ever done this, then even just the 면 and the past tense of 다가 is kind of tricky. Because even if we take our sentence we have here, 카페 잠깐 들렀다가 학교로 가면, like, what would happen if you stopped at the cafe and then went to school? I can't think of anything you would say that would happen if you stopped for a drink on the way to school. 카페 잠깐 들렀다가 학교로 가면 늦을 거야. I guess so. You'll be late? But then how can you stick in 일하고 in there? Yeah, no. And then 본 적이 있다. You have to do also 본 적이 있다 in there too. So, yeah, not really. It's going to be unnatural. Like, I can put two of them together, any two of them, but not all four. Ellie's language classroom. What did you say? 걔가 떨고 있다. 떨리고 있다. Like shaking? Not sure if that's what you're asking. Anyway, yeah, I would invite a native Korean to try to make a sentence that uses all of those together. Good luck. I see there is a native here. I recognize a few. Ellie's Korean language classroom. I've seen you before. 안녕하세요. 여긴 월요일 아침이에요. 출근 중. Yeah, I know. That's in 한국은 지금 아침 7시 반이죠? 네. 아닌가? 8시 반인가? 8시 반인가? 몇 시지? Korea time. Let's find it. Korea time. I actually don't know because the daylight savings time. Oh, yeah, it's 7:30. 맞네. 7시 반이네. Okay. By the way, my South Korean colleague says she can't remember if the Terminator says something like 다시 돌아올게, or if it follows I'll be back. I will be back. You know? 다시 돌아. Let's find out. Let's find out right now. What does the Terminator say? So, what is even the name of the Terminator movie in Korea? Terminator. Okay. It is called Terminator. Okay. Terminator. So now let's search for I'll be back. Let's try with 대사. 명대사. Here we go. 명대사. Okay. 너는 미래를 구할 남자를 어머니가 아니야. 네가 미래야. I don't know. I don't think that's thing. 존을 위하여. 네가 살. Okay, I'll be back. I won't be back. 조심해. 내 온몸이 무게거든. Careful. My whole body is a weapon. Or something like that. I'm trying to see if there's an answer for that. Anyone know? I'm searching, but I'd probably have to. It doesn't show it in Korean. It only shows it in English right here. 다음에 또 보자, 친구. Here we go. 다음에 또 보자, 친구. But then in Terminator, Terminator 2, he says that. 다음에 또 보자, 친구. But then in Terminator, after that, he says, I'll be back. Just reading here. Anyway, it's a mess. I want to see if any Korean knows exactly what he says. You can't believe it. Thanks. 나는 돌아올게. 요. 돌아오게. That could be 다시 돌아오게. Okay, it could be that. Yeah, I was just searching and I see a lot of it just written in English. The reason it would be hard to find is that nowadays Korean movies are not dubbed like they used to in the past. So in the past, you could find movies dubbed a lot more easily instead of subtitles. And I think modern days, some movies get dubbed versions, but it's not going to be the ones that go in they would be in a different theater time. Like you'd have to specifically find the theater that has the one showtime of the day that is a dubbed version of a Hollywood movie. And I've never seen any before. Typically, Koreans nowadays prefer the original audio with subtitles in Korean. So if it's an older movie, though, it would have still had dubbed versions as well as subtitled versions. So you'd have to find an older version of Terminator. And I don't know if that would even be the most recognized phrase that he says. They might just know that he says, I'll be back, not what he says in Korean. It might not be a famous thing in Korean. Okay. 다음에 또 봐. Yeah, I know. Terminator said, 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Then I will see you next time. Okay, that is all of our live stream today. Before I butcher Terminator's voice again. Thank you everyone for coming again. Remember that there is no live stream this coming next Sunday. There will be, though, 2 weeks from today. So next Sunday, no live stream. The next, we'll get all new voting options. So if you have a request for a future live stream, please leave that in my Discord tonight so I can add it to the next voting options. In order to make a request, though, you do have to be a member of my Patreon channel or a member of my YouTube channel. That's the requirement. Otherwise, I have too many requests from other viewers. I prioritize members. So if you have a request and you're a member, please get those in as soon as possible. If I have extra slots, then I can take requests from other people who are subscribers. Okay, thank you again for coming, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.